Hello everyone, welcome back to the Chanel. You want to know how to get any woman and make her fall in love with you. Okay, let's talk about it. But not in the way you think. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about lines. It's not about what kind of watch you wear, how cool your playlist is, or how much money you drop on a first date. That stuff, it's noise, temporary, surface level, and trust me, if that's what you're leading with, you're going to lose. You don't need a pickup strategy. You need to get real with yourself, because the truth is, if you're chasing women hoping they'll give you the feeling you refuse to give yourself, validation, love, worthiness, you're already setting yourself up for heartbreak. The first step isn't about getting her, it's about becoming someone worth loving, becoming someone who doesn't need someone to complete him, but who wants someone to share his already full life with. If you're waking up every day scrolling your phone, numbing out on TikTok, skipping your workout, blowing off your purpose, and still expecting to attract a woman who's emotionally intelligent, strong, passionate, and intentional, what exactly are you offering her? You have to stop asking for a partner you haven't become. Love isn't something you get by pretending to be what she wants. It's something you attract by being who you really are, and owning the hell out of that. Start showing up for yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Set your alarm, get out of bed, follow through, work on your communication, know how to sit in silence without panic, know how to calm yourself down when you're triggered, know how to apologize without defending yourself. That's what makes someone safe to love, and you know what else? You better be curious, you better know how to listen. I'm talking about really listen, not nodding your head while you wait for your turn to talk. I mean hearing her, not fixing, not proving, not impressing, just seeing her. That alone puts you in the top 1% of men, because most people are too self-absorbed to listen, and women are starving to be seen. You don't need perfect abs, you don't need a sports car, you don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to be intentional. She doesn't want the man with the best resume. She wants the man who makes her feel the safest to be her real self. That happens when you are grounded, present, secure in who you are, and not afraid to show it. So if you want a woman to fall in love with you, you better be the kind of person who actually lets himself be seen. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's power. It's magnetic. When you have the courage to talk about what scares you, to share your truth without pretending, to ask deep questions instead of flexing your ego. She feels that. That's rare, that's real, that's what creates connection. But let's be honest. You might do everything right and she still might not choose you, and that is okay. Because love is not something you can force. You don't make someone fall for you. They fall when they feel safe, when they feel aligned, when your presence is so honest, so grounded, so consistent that they don't have to second guess how you feel or where they stand. You think women want a thrill. No, they want clarity. They want to know if they matter. They want to know you're not going to vanish the second you get uncomfortable. So if you're running hot and cold, love bombing and disappearing, hyping her up and ghosting when she gets close, you're not building love. You're building confusion, and that is emotional immaturity. You want to be someone she falls in love with. Then be someone who respects her time. Be someone who communicates clearly. Be someone who doesn't flinch when the conversation gets real. Follow through. Be honest when it's hard. Show up without needing to be the most interesting person in the room. That's attractive. That's trustworthy. That's the stuff love is made of. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop trying to become someone you're not. Just get brutally honest with yourself. What kind of energy are you bringing into your life every day? Because that's the same energy you're bringing into every relationship. Women don't fall in love with potential. They fall in love with presence. And if you're still holding onto pain from the past, let's talk about that. Because love won't stick if you're leaking wounds all over someone new. Heal not for her, for you. So when love does show up, you're not afraid of it. You're ready, you're available, you're not just craving connection. You're capable of it. And finally, if she doesn't fall for you, you let her go with grace, with dignity, because your worth is not tied to her interest. You're not less because she walked away. You're more because you stayed true to yourself. That is confidence. That is strength, that is freedom, and that is what makes love real. So don't ask how to get her. Ask how to become so deeply rooted in who you are, so in love with your own life, that the right woman doesn't just see you. She recognizes you. And when that happens, you won't have to chase her. She'll meet you right where you are. No games, no proving, just two people showing up fully. That's how love begins. Becoming the kind of man worth loving starts with the decision to stop chasing validation and start building a strong foundation within yourself. It means shifting your focus from external approval to internal growth. This isn't about becoming someone you think women will like. It's about stepping fully into your authenticity and taking responsibility for your life. Too many men look for a relationship to fill the gaps in their self-esteem. They believe that if the right woman chooses them, then they'll finally feel confident, valued, and complete. But love doesn't work that way. Real love, the kind that lasts, is built between two whole people, not between someone who's emotionally grounded and someone who's hoping a relationship will fix them. Being a man worth loving means having your own sense of direction. It means you know who you are, where you're going, and what you value. You don't need to have every detail figured out, but you need to have a clear sense of purpose and the discipline to follow through on it. You wake up in the morning and make choices that move your life forward. You're not waiting for permission. You're not hoping for someone to come along and make your days exciting. You're building a life that matters to you. A life that, when shared, adds value to someone else's, not drains it. You also have emotional awareness. You're not scared of your feelings or ashamed of your past. You've done some reflection. You've sat with your pain. You've asked yourself hard questions. You've begun to understand what shaped you, what triggers you, and how to communicate what you need. When conflict happens, you don't shut down or blow up. You stay present. You stay calm. You hold space for yourself and for others. That kind of emotional intelligence is rare, and women feel it. They feel when a man is in control of his emotions without repressing them. They feel when he's steady, not because he's cold, but because he's done the inner work. Being that man also means you have standards for yourself. You respect your time, your body, your energy, and your relationships. You're not out here trying to impress everyone. You're not chasing attention. You're intentional about how you spend your time, who you give your energy to, and what kind of people you allow into your inner circle. You've developed self-respect, and self-respect shows in the way you talk, the way you move, the way you treat people, even when you have nothing to gain. When you live like that, you naturally attract people who operate at the same level. Ultimately, becoming someone worth loving is not about performing. It's not about becoming a version of yourself you think others will approve of. It's about returning to who you actually are, beneath the insecurity, beneath the ego, beneath the fear. It's about showing up fully, honestly, and consistently in your life. That's the man who draws love, not because he's trying to, but because he no longer needs it to define him. Listening deeply and with intention is one of the most underrated yet powerful ways to build connection and trust. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. They're half present, rehearsing what they're going to say next while pretending to care about what's being said. But real active, intentional listening, is something entirely different. It requires presence. It demands that you get out of your own head and into the moment with the other person. When you do this with a woman, she feels it immediately. She feels seen, she feels heard, and that feeling of being understood is what starts to build emotional attraction. When a woman talks, she's not always looking for solutions. Often, she's seeking connection. She's sharing to open a window into her inner world. If you respond by trying to fix everything, correct her, or redirect the conversation back to yourself, you close that window. You make her feel like she has to perform instead of simply be. But if you sit with her words, pay attention to her tone, notice her body language, and let her speak without interruption, you send a powerful message. I'm here, I care, I'm not going anywhere. That creates safety, and safety is the soil where love grows. Listening also means asking questions, not surface-level questions out of obligation, but real ones that show you're engaged. You're not just collecting data about her life. You're curious about her experiences. You want to know what lights her up, what keeps her up at night, what moments shaped her into who she is. That kind of curiosity can't be faked. It has to come from a genuine place, and when it does, it builds something deeper than attraction. It builds intimacy, the kind that makes a woman want to open up more, share more, invest more. A man who knows how to listen is rare. In a world full of distractions, silence makes people uncomfortable. But when you're grounded, you're not afraid of silence. You allow space in the conversation. You let her finish her thoughts. You listen not just to her words, but to what's behind them, the emotion, the story, the need, and you respond with presence, not performance. You don't rush to fill the gaps. You don't need to one-up her story with one of your own. You know the value of simply being with her in the moment, fully tuned in. It's also important to understand that listening builds trust over time. It's not a one-time thing, it's a habit. It's the way you show up consistently in conversations, whether they're lighthearted or difficult. It's in how you remember the little things she said weeks ago. It's how you follow up on something she mentioned in passing. Those small moments tell her that you were listening when it didn't seem like it mattered, and that's when it matters the most. Because listening isn't about the big dramatic gestures. It's about how you make someone feel when they're simply speaking their truth. Showing up consistently and with integrity is one of the clearest signals that you are someone who can be trusted, respected, and eventually loved. In a world where so many people flake, ghost, lie, or backpedal on their word, being someone who simply does what he says he's going to do is a powerful differentiator. It starts with small things. If you say you're going to call. If you make a plan, stick to it. If you can't, communicate clearly and early. When you treat your word like a contract, people start to see you as reliable, not just in actions, but in character. Consistency builds safety. It allows the people around you to relax into your presence instead of having to walk on eggshells or guess which version of you will show up next. For a woman, this is everything. Emotional whiplash, being really engaged one moment and distant the next, creates confusion, and confusion is the opposite of connection. If she has to wonder what your texts mean, analyze your silences, or question whether your interest is real, then she's not falling in love. She's defending herself. But when you show up the same way over time, when your actions and words align, when your energy stays steady even as life gets messy, that's when she can exhale. That's when she starts to feel something deeper than attraction. She starts to feel secure. Integrity, on the other hand, is about more than just being honest. It's about living in alignment with your values, even when no one is watching. It means that you don't pretend to be something you're not. You don't manipulate to get what you want. You don't say things just to impress her. You tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. If you're not ready for something serious, you say so. If you're having a rough day, you say so. Integrity isn't always smooth or charming. It's real, and real is what creates emotional intimacy. Women can feel the difference between someone who's performing and someone who's grounded in who they are. Consistency and integrity also require discipline. You can't fake them long term. You have to be living a life where your habits and routines reflect your priorities. You can't just show up as a good communicator on date night, but be totally out of alignment in the rest of your life. The way you manage your time, the way you talk to people, the way you handle stress, all of it adds up to a sense of trust, and trust is the foundation of love. If she feels like she can depend on you, not just when things are easy, but when things are complicated, that's when real connection starts to grow. A man who is consistent and lives with integrity doesn't have to chase affection or prove his worth. He doesn't have to convince anyone to love him. His presence does the work. His habits do the talking. His choices show who he is before he says a word.